$4,000 is a crazy amount of money for woodworking in 1 month. How? Fence boards. That's all you need. No crazy hardwoods. No crazy tools. Just some fence boards, and lots of them. We got about 70 fence boards here. And of course, depending on your area, depending on your prices, these are just normal cedar boards. And around me, they run about $3.98 a piece. So this is about $280. And this will make it through about my week's orders. And that's at least $1,000 to $1,500, just depending on the size of the boxes. Super easy work, just a little time consuming. But I got an order I'm gonna work through for 3 small boxes. I'll show you all how to do it. It's pretty simple. Now you don't need a crazy amount of tools. Honestly, you can get through it with a skill saw, some sort of nail gun, or even just an impact with screws. Since I've started, I've made money and I've taken that money and invested it here into my shop to make things faster, more efficient, and easier. Time is money. The more you can pump out, the more money you can make. Having a miter saw is, of course, such a time saver. I just bought this one with money I had made from the planters. Before, I was using one my dad let me borrow, which was a little Cobalt job site saw, which is all right, but it wasn't the most accurate, and it's only a 7-inch blade, so you can't cut through as many boards as one time to batch them through. Definitely a huge time saver, though, is using these. Now, this here is a step that is not necessary, but in my opinion, it makes the planters look a good bit better. And to me, it's a selling point that, of course, later on, as you make profits, you can invest in a planer. I do one pass on one side, and that kind of just brings out the color. As you can see, this is kind of what it looks like before you plane it. And I take about a 16th off, 32nd off, somewhere in that neighborhood, and make it just look a little bit cleaner. Only the outside of the box gets this look. The inside is just your normal fence board. I don't really find a reason to do the inside since it gets covered with dirt anyway, so you don't really see it. Like I said, you don't need this. Sanding these boards is practically impossible. You go through more sandpaper than you want to, but this step isn't necessary. I just like to do it. To me, it looks a little bit better. So I'm gonna go ahead and plane all the boards that I need and get that rolling. This here is an example of the box that this client wants. He wants 3 of these. So they're it's a 13-inch box as far as the opening, 16 inches tall, and it's roughly 11 inches deep. So to make a square, you just cut 2 sides that are 13 inches, 2 sides that are 11 3/4 to make up that gap. And I make the legs, everything's out of fence boards, make the legs 1.5 inches thick, and so is the top rim. I'll show you how to do that. So like I said, we need 2 sides that are 13 inches long to make up one side of the box. So you'll need 4 pieces for the 2 sides, which you can get out of one board. So do 13 inches. And then the next side, you need 11 3/4. You will also need 2 pieces that are 11 3/4 for the bottom of the box. So you have to keep that in mind. So instead of 4 11 3/4, we need 6 11 3/4. And then this board you'll be able to use for your legs and the top rim. We'll get to that in a few minutes. Get these cut. Now, when you get these boards from the big box stores, they always have a staple with a tag on there. You can pull it out, whatever you want. I like personally to give it a fresh edge. And like I said before, a miter saw is not necessary or needed by any means. You can cut this with a skill saw, jigsaw, hand saw, whatever to get by until you can make the money to invest in a tool like this, which is most definitely worth it. Little tip that I like to do, instead of sitting here measuring each board, to make things a little bit quicker, measure your one cut, make your one cut, butt it up with the end of your last cut you just made, and then all you gotta do is take your blade and then butt it up. That way you will have the same exact cut as your last board. Makes it easy and repeatable. So from that one fence board, I was able to get 2 of my sides and the bottom. Now I'll grab another board and get our other 4 sides. Now we have our other 4 sides. So we have all of our sides and our bottom made from 2 fence boards. 4 13 inches, 6 11 and 3/4. Now we got to make the legs. So I use a table saw to rip down a plank or a fence board. I do 1 3/4, give or take roughly, and that splits you one fence board into 3. So you'll get 3 strips out of it. So now we have our 3 pieces for our legs and our top rim. So this box is going to be 16 inches tall. I just cut them at 16 inches exactly, which means the box overall is going to be about 1.5 inches, 16.5 inches tall. So we'll need 8 16-inch pieces. So I'm going to take 2 boards and get my 8 out of this. This is the spot where having a miter saw can really save some time because you can cut more than one board at one time with a miter saw. So I'll do the same thing as I did with the other ones. Flush up one side. I'll go ahead and measure out my 16 inches. To make my cut. Here's my 8 pieces that's going to make up my legs. So for my 3 fence boards, we have the 4 13-inch sides, the 6 11 and 3/4 inch and bottom pieces, our 8 legs, which turns into 4 legs, an extra piece that you throw in a scrap pile and keep for future boxes, and then one more runner so we can use that for the top rim, which I do this part last. My method of how I like to assemble these, I do everything in batches if I can. But what you want to do is you take your longer boards first. So these are the 13-inch boards. Just take your 11 3/4, put them off to the side so you don't mix them up. Take them, line them out. Get you some wood glue. I use Tight Bond 3 Ultimate. It's the best you can get for outdoors. It's basically weatherproof for the most part. And now you want to put a line of glue along each edge of all your boards. Now, take one board, grab 2 legs. This is how we're going to make up one side. But you take your side and your fence board, your leg, line it up with the top and the side, and just make that as flush as you can. Now you can screw these too if you want to. Just brad nail, save time. It just holds it in place while this glue dries and cures. Now you take your other leg and repeat the same process. And now you have one part of your planter put together. So now what I do is take it, flip it upside down, put the legs facing away from me, grab another one of your sides, and then you flip it over where your glue's facing down. So this side will have the nails hidden. Once again, you line up your side, throw 3 nails in it, line up this side, throw 3 nails in it. Now this is one side almost done. Now what you do to make the other side of the legs is you run glue here down, and then you nail in your other piece. You're wanting to line it up so it's flush with the first leg, both top and bottom and sides. So I'm going to face myself because it's a little bit easier. And then you throw some nails in it. Just a safety tip, if you are using a brad nailer, do not have your hand anywhere near you're shooting the nail. If you're shooting here, have your hand back here. I've had this nail curve on me and come out a few times, and if my hand was there, then it would have went into my hand, which is not a good time. So now you want to take your other board, do the same thing. That is one side of your box completed. So now you just repeat the steps for the other side. All right, so now that you have both sides done, we're halfway done. What I like to do is take them, turn each of them on their side, and then run a glue line in between here. Take 2 of your sides, grab the first one, make sure whatever side is your finished side is facing out. Now you line it up with the top of the other boards, your other sides, put some nails in it. Same thing with the other side. Now I spin it around, grab my other side. Sometimes this takes a little bit of persuasion to get in, just depending on how tight you got it. Flush everything up. Make sure my sides are touching, lets me know my box is square. That's one side. Flip your box over. And now do the same thing. Glue in here and put the other ones in. And now you got most of the box completed. We just got to put a bottom in it and then put our top runners on. And she's done. So since you cut one of your sides 11 3/4, you take those and put them in facing the same way as your other 11 3/4. You can see on the joint here, you have your long board and then your smaller board sits on the inside of them, which means these will be the same size as here. I like to take them in. Be a pretty tight fit. I don't glue in the bottom. I just put some brad nails in it. Never had an issue. Watch your hand. I usually put about 3 nails in each side. Take your other board, same thing. Now I forgot about this piece, this middle piece here, but you have your extra scrap piece. So what you can do is take it over, grab your measurement, make sure you get the braid measurement on the inside. So now that I have it cut to size, you want to grab your measurement here, So we are right at 7/8. I'm gonna take it to the table saw and cut a strip that's 7/8. So go ahead and put that in there. So once I get the bottom in, I take a 1/2 inch drill bit and just drill 2 holes in the middle of these boards here. So that way, whatever plant they put in here, whatever vegetable, if they're going to put whatever soil, just whatever it is they decide to put in here, you have drain holes. So now that our box is mainly constructed for the most part, all we have to do for just a decorative piece to make it look a little bit better is put that top rim around it. I take my measurement. We are right at 13, a hair past 3/4. 13 and a hair past 3/4. This one's right at 13 3/4. So I'm gonna do a little bit past 13 3/4 just to make them both fit nicely. So take your other board, your only remaining piece you have left, cut your 13. Now this might be different on your box depending on how square it is, but roughly a little bit past 13 3/4. I'm gonna take it to the miter saw and cut these two out. Now that I have my two pieces, I'm just gonna go ahead and go around the top rim of the box, just like that. So now you got your two sides in. All you gotta do is take your measurement of the insides of those. So we're at 10 5/8, 10 1/2. So it's out of square by about 1/8, but it doesn't move. It's just not perfectly square, which again, we're not making fine furniture here. So that's fine. Just like that, our box is done. That's it. I sell these for $40 a piece. So you can get to the point where you can get pretty quick at them and you knock out 3 or 4 of these in an hour. You know, you had almost what, $200 or so an hour. Of course, it's not profit. You got to take out a little bit of money. This box here would have cost me $18. I'm selling it for $40. So, you know, $22 profit times that by 3 in an hour, you're at $60 an hour, you know, or so that you're making in profit. Really, your only consumables is nails and glue. Since I've started, I've used a gallon of glue and I don't know, a few thousand nails, but it's not a big price point thing that you have to worry about. I sell these up on Facebook Marketplace, make a couple different ads showing all the different sizes, and I take custom orders too. So any size that's asked for, I make them, make a quote. My general rule of thumb is 3 times the material cost for the most part, unless it's really big boxes. Like once you get into 6-foot boxes or so, they take a lot more time. So it takes a little bit of figuring out, a little trial and error, going getting these prices right to what you want it to be. But you can make a real good profit on these things and then invest it back into your workshop, which is what I've done here. Since I've started, I've bought a miter saw, a laser engraver, a track saw, dust collection, a drum sander, and I just ordered a new sander too because my orbital sander went out while I was making a cutting board last night. So it's a worthy time thing to do. You know, you can make a good bit of side money on side your normal job and turn an easy profit. It's just time consuming. Of course, time, you know, you got to have time to make some money, but it's worth it in the end. Easy to get customers. There's some Facebook Marketplace and then word of mouth. That's what I do. Of course, it depends on your area for prices, but don't be discouraged to put your prices higher than the next guy. You just got to make sure that your build quality is there and it is worth it. But get out in your shop, have some fun, make some boxes, make some money, and do whatever you want with that money. It's yours at the end of the day.